North Canterbury's gone through a very hard summer. It's the third major drought that we've had in the last 31 years. And I think we've come back through really well. We cut our numbers of deer back at the beginning of the drought, capital stock, and that's certainly made a difference. You can see in the background one of these new Aussie Advantage feeders, good old Aussies, and a lot of deer farmers now are using them. You put barley in there, but we've got barley in there, and the hinds and fawns just really love it, and it doesn't take long to get them straight back onto it. The other thing is that we've put in lucerne. Behind you there's a new lucerne paddock, and that certainly helped getting us through the drought. The other thing is with drought that the animals have always got to have shade and shelter, and through a drought, if you don't have the shade, they just wither up and start to threat. And so we make sure that where the deer are, they've always got the shelter in those very, very hot days. We are planting in the last 2 years the new varieties of lucerne, and we just used that for grazing the hinds and fawns over the summer period, on and off, so they've taken off when there's good residual left, and it got us through 3 months.
Our main stream, Sterndale Stream, when I came here I asked the previous owner if it ever dried up, and he said it stopped running occasionally in a dry year, but the water holes never dried up, and that was the case until this year, where the whole stream, including water holes, dried up. Eels is the only thing that I've seen. There's no fish there that I know of. Yes, obviously it's a pretty hard life for them, and I've noticed other times after a drought they go away and you don't see them again for 2 or 3 years. I've been feeding out since the end of January, feeding out baleage. I had about 230 barrels of baleage. Now I'm down to about 110. I've also feed out about 30 tonnes of barley. I do feed out a wee bit of barley to deer over the autumn normally, but nowhere near that amount. Okay, but I've also quite a lot of stock, or I usually go into the winter with about 3,500 stock units, so I'm going to go into the winter with about 2,400 this year. I still have some winter crops which I haven't touched, but that's going to get me through a lot of the winter.
These deer are on a specialist crop called plantain, and that is in here. It has a deep taproot, so it grows a lot more than grass in a dry period. So crops like this have been invaluable over the past summer and autumn which has been very dry obviously. So as you can see, these deer are doing pretty well, and it's a pretty good crop. The grass crops are only just coming away now, but this has basically kept growing all the way through. Plantain is also high in copper and other nutrients which deer need more than sheep.
This paddock we're in now has been direct drilled about 2 months ago, the end of February, in Italian ryegrass. I always do some paddocks at that time of year anyway, as part of the regrassing scheme of things, but especially this year because I knew I was going to be short of feed for the winter, so I actually did 7 paddocks in February. This one is the best result, principally because it's the lowest paddock, so it's the wettest. Other paddocks on sunny faces have only just coming through now 2 months later, which is sometimes they come through in about 2 weeks. So it's at least there's some feed there, and now with this rain it should bolt away pretty quickly.
Our droughts this year started in December. It was the driest month we had, no rain at all. And that's the first time I've been here in 34 years I've had no rain in December. So that's what's hit so hard, and I think that's what's dried out so much. We normally have a dry January, February at least, but this year no rain in December, it started early. Yeah, and of course the hinds were just fawning, November, December, and it hit them quite hard, and they all fawn on the hill. But we've been lucky because I've jumped in early and we started feeding the hinds with fawns afoot, feeding them lucerne baleage.
Yep.
and barley. Okay, we took it out to the hinds on the hill blocks and fed them twice a week. And it's actually managed to. We seen the slide going off. We do monitor body scores of the hinds regularly when they're in, and I could just tell they were dropping. You know, the body scores were lowering. As soon as we started to feed, we actually stopped that slide, and they've maintained it quite well.
Oh, good.
But and I'm pretty happy with them now. They're going to the stag in good condition. Like their body scores now will be 3+.
That's good.
So we're recovering now while we've got warmer temperatures before the winter comes on. That's rye corn.
Oh, yeah.
Normally that's sown in December, January, but our soil temperatures were so hot right through that January, February, there was no point putting it in the ground. So we didn't bother, and I didn't sow that until well into March.
Right at the moment we're just coming through a bit of a drought. We did plant a lot of our waterways out last year, but most of the trees haven't survived the drought, so we'll start again. And it's been a bit of a learning curve. We're trying to bring in a variety of local species into the swamp area that we're looking at doing. At the present there's not a lot of shade or shelter in the bar willows. We are trying to remove a fair chunk of those grey willows or pussy willows, but leave some of the bigger willows for shade and shelter in paddocks. The planting side of things and the management of that and how it can work in water supplies, because we've had some problems this year with running out of stock water, where in the past we always had those creeks that now we've fenced out. We are in a snow risk area. Well, probably our biggest limiting factor is our winter. So we try and get all the deer, all the hinds off the hill for 70 days at the end of winter to let that hill recover. But our challenge will be this year is getting them through the winter, because normally they spend a fair bit of time out on the hill on tussock and on grass. That's sort of standing hay on the hill, but a fair bit of that's gone, so it'll be a challenge.